We are so thrilled to be joined by today's guest, second baseman and left fielder for the Toronto Blue Jays organization, finished his season with the Buffalo Bison. Davis Schneider, welcome to the walk-off, man. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, to start with, number one, heck of a season. You started in Vancouver, finished with AAA Bison, the AAA to
Yeah,
Buffalo Bison there. Very well done, man. Congrats.
thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, it was a long but weird season, I gotta say. But I'm glad how it ended, and I'm glad how I did. So yeah, I'm excited for the next season already. Can't wait.
Yeah, buddy, you're going to have a full bingo card when you go into spring training. You will know like almost every single guy.
Yeah, I know, which is I guess good for me. You got to know as many people as you can. That's a good thing.
That's right, buddy. Where are you at right now?
I'm at home in Jersey. I still live with my parents in my
Yeah.
basement. Yeah, so
So,
not too glamorous, but it works.
growing up, were you a Yankees fan? Was this loss last night tough to take?
No, Phillies fan. So
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
there you
yeah,
go. Yeah, good
yeah.
Hey.
night. Good
I was in
night.
Philly the other night actually when they won game 4, but I didn't
Awesome.
go in last night because I knew if they won it would have been insane.
Chaos
So
for sure.
yeah,
Oh, man, just seeing video of them partying in the streets and screaming, "We want Houston," definitely made me jealous as a Jays fan.
oh my gosh, I mean, there's nothing better than as like a baseball player and seeing like fans who are just like really into it. I know Blue Jays fans are the same way. I mean, if Toronto would have won, it would have been like the same exact thing in
Yeah.
Toronto. So I mean, it is what it is what it is. But I mean, Philly fans are insane. So
Well, every baseball fan outside of Houston is going to be cheering for the Phillies this
oh,
week.
for
So
sure, for
it'll be
sure.
great.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
I mean, if Houston ends up winning, then it's gonna be like a long winter just for anyone who's not a Houston fan.
Yeah.
It's so funny how sports are as a kid and you just don't really get it. Like I was like 11 and 12 when the Blue Jays won the World Series in 92, 93. And I just like had this idea as a 12-year-old boy that, you wait a couple years, your favorite team wins the World Series and life is great. And then
Oh
here we
yeah,
are like time
yeah. It's
goes
not the
by and
case
you're like, oh,
anymore.
that's not how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, some fan bases are lucky, like Houston. I mean, they're always in the playoffs, always in contention every year. So I mean, some people are just lucky,
Yeah.
And Philly hasn't won
Agreed.
a World Series since '08. So it's been a long time coming for all the Phillies fans.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. So let's get into your experience here. Just moving between affiliates throughout the season. I mean, obviously, it's pretty exciting when you get promoted, but I
Yeah.
can imagine just the life side of things. It was a wild summer for you. I'm guessing you're not throwing away moving boxes very often anymore.
No, I mean, when I was in Vancouver, and I got caught up on the road when I was in Hillsborough. So I mean, I left basically everything I had in Vancouver in my hotel room. So they had to ship it to me like months later when I got all my stuff. So I mean, I was living out of a suitcase for most of the summer. So I mean, I don't really mind it, but it does suck not having all your stuff with you when you can.
Let's start with Vancouver.
Yeah.
Do you like it as a city? You've been a
Oh, it's
Canadian
awesome.
before.
I
Yeah.
mean, I wish, not saying Buffalo's not a great city, but Vancouver is awesome. I mean, I'm not saying the nightlife is fun. I mean, the baseball fans are second to none. I mean, they show out every single game. I mean, it's like the first time I was like ever in pro ball, like with the fans wise. I guess the first
hmm
time I ever felt like, okay, this is awesome. Because they show out every single game. They love it there. They love the players. They love the atmosphere, and it makes baseball fun. When you play there because they're just so into the game. You know.
Yeah, we had TJ Brock on the show just last week, and he was kind of talking about how it blew him away the attendance in Vancouver. I guess like
Oh
they
yeah.
really fill the stadium in comparison to some of those other Northwest League teams, right?
Yeah, I mean, because that's all they really have out there besides the Canucks, I guess. I mean, I'm not a
Yeah.
big hockey guy, but I mean, they really love the baseball and they know baseball too, which is like the best part about it. I mean, they want to win, they want to bring a championship there. Like, they are really into it, which makes, like I said, baseball just fun playing there. You want to go to the ballpark, you can't wait to play that day. Just seeing the fans there, the support they have, it's great.
So you played 50 games this season in Vancouver. You had 8 dingers. You had an excellent WRC plus 127. All the numbers looking really good. You get the call up to Double A, the highest level you've played at. How did they let you know you were headed to New Hampshire? Like, were you expecting it when you got the call?
Not really. I mean, I knew I wasn't really hitting good batting average rise, but like you said, like all the other numbers were, above average. So I felt like I was still doing pretty well. But I mean, I knew I was like kind of an injury away. I know that's a kind of a bad mindset to have, but I mean, but anything could happen. Someone could go down, so you always got to be ready at some extent. But I mean, I figured it was going to come sooner or later because I know Barger was raking the ball
Yeah.
too. So like it was either kind of me or him when it came to that. But they had to Relvis up. So like either you're not going to play both at shortstop, until Barger, he proved that he wasn't, that high A was just not him. He had to get called up sooner or later. So, but yeah, like I said, like an injury away, I knew I just had to keep playing. And they called me up during the game. So like Brent took me out, was like, all right, you're going to AA. I was like, cool, So it was unexpected, but I mean, I was definitely happy about it.
Out of curiosity, Davis, you kind of brought it up there with the batting average. And obviously, if you go back throughout history in baseball, that kind of is the stat that everyone has put up there as what
Yeah.
really matters. And that has changed. But when you're on the field and you're seeing your batting average up on the scoreboard and stuff like that, like does it still hold weight to you, or do you try to focus more on the other numbers that seem to hold more water these days?
You definitely notice it as a player. I mean, everyone wants to hit for a high average, but when it comes down to it, it's not the most important thing nowadays. I feel like on base percentage is definitely more valuable than batting average. I mean, if you can walk and get on base, I mean, good things happen. But I mean, I still hold water to it. Like I want to hit for a good average, and like I said, get on base, score runs. But it's not the most important thing nowadays. I feel like if you can produce runs, get RBIs, I mean, that's going to win you ball games, runs and RBIs. I mean, average definitely does help when it comes to it.
Yeah.
But there are just so much stuff that people look at now that it's not the most valuable thing anymore, like back in the day when it used to be.
What was the biggest difference facing AA pitching to high A? Did you notice it right away?
Not right away. I mean, because it depending on what organization you play. I mean, because there's some orgs that are just not very good when it comes to pitching depth, but you definitely see they're more pristine with their pitches. They don't miss as much. Like as in high A, there's a ton of top prospects that have nasty stuff, high velocity, but they just can't really locate that much. And
Right.
so when you get to AA, they're just going to locate even more. And in AAA, it's the same thing. Their misses are just a little bit less.
So
And I guess in the big leagues, it's the same thing.
were you seeing more breaking balls? Or they were
Um,
just hitting their spots with it more?
they were just hitting their spots a little bit more. And like I said, it really depends on the organization because in high
Right.
A, the Mariners, they have like a quota, I'm pretty sure, where they have to throw 50% off speed. And so when you're facing the Mariners, you're going to have to see a lot more sliders, curveballs, changeups. So like you kind of know that going into it. And it all depends on the pitcher who's throwing that day. But you definitely see a lot more off speed that can be land for a strike in AA and AAA rather than they throw it in the dirt.
That's really interesting. And of course, the affiliates are all about the development of the
Yeah.
players. So when you put something on the pitchers like the Mariners did there, maybe that's not necessarily when the chips are down the way that you would necessarily want to pitch. Do you notice that as you go up the ranks of affiliates? Like when you were playing at AAA, did winning the game matter more, or was it still a lot of like developmental stuff and working on this, working on that?
In AAA, you have a sense that you're going to want to win a little bit more because you're that close to the big league. So I feel like that mindset, you got to have that mindset because you never know when you're going to be up or down. So like you're going to want to win every single time you go out there. Not saying in high and AA you don't want to win, but the
Right.
development side is just more, I guess, valuable, and you're going to want to have to just be more developed when it comes to high and AA. But yeah,
Well,
I mean
I
AAA
mean,
is yeah,
yeah, I mean, life shows you constantly, right? Like
yeah,
experience matters. So I
yeah.
do kind of like the idea of like, no, you need to throw breaking balls. It's the only way you succeed in the bigs, and you
Mhm.
got to hit your spot, so you need to do it. But yeah, you definitely are going to see guys walking more guys if they are forced to throw breaking balls when maybe they're not the best at it, right?
Yeah, and if you have good plate discipline and high and low A, these guys aren't going to really locate that much, so you can spin on a lot of pitches, and that's why I feel like my walk rate was higher in high A because I knew they couldn't really locate as well as they did in
Yeah.
Double A, Triple A. You know. Yeah.
So let's talk you on the field then, because your versatility definitely a strength when you're looking at your tools. You played plenty of left field in Vancouver. You played mostly second base with the Fisher Cats. How much work do you put into the defensive end of the game and being able to move position and switch where you're going? And how difficult is it to go from, let's say, the infield to the outfield in one game?
Well, it's not too hard, I should say. At first, I didn't really play that much outfield growing up. I mean, I was always an infielder, third base, second base. So I didn't really play that much outfield. And this is the first year I kind of switched over to there most of the time. And so it definitely took some time to get used to when it came to reading fly balls and jumps and everything. But if you put your work in before the game, I mean, it's not that big of a jump. I mean, if you can get
Right.
your work in, early work, taking some reads during BP, I mean, it's not that big of a jump. But it definitely at first, the beginning of the season, it was a stretch for me for sure. I had some moments where I was like, oh wow, this is not as easy as it sounds.
Well, it's probably one of the biggest changes within the game in the last 5 years. I mean, you were drafted 5 years back as a third baseman, like we just
Yeah.
said, played plenty of second base, played some left field. You're even starting to get to the point where you've got the utility tag. You can move around the diamond. Since you were drafted in 2017, and positional versatility has become such an important part of the game. What are some of the biggest changes that you've noticed in other portions of the game that have happened in the last 5 years? Something that maybe even within the organization, not just the game, where like maybe you showed up at spring training one day and now all of a sudden they're really focused on this certain thing from top to bottom in the organization. Is there anything that stands out?
Not really. The Blue Jays are really they're really professional when it comes to, knowing what they're doing. And since I've been in the organization since 2017, not really much has changed. They're very old school and they're new school at the same time. I mean, they love the technology. They use it to their advantage. I mean, and like I said, they're very old school too when it comes to, work hard, good things happen, all that good stuff. But I mean, nothing that stands out to the top of my head
Yeah.
right now. But yeah, I mean, nothing crazy. It's nothing crazy that when it comes to like changes or the things that we do. I mean, it's just you work hard to go about your business. You use what's at your disposal to your advantage. I mean, it's just like any other, I guess, profession, really.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, out of curiosity, Davis, I mean, you were drafted out of high school, 28th round, 2017. Did you consider re-entering the draft and going to college, or when you got that first opportunity to jump at pro ball, you were just like, I'm all in? How did that process work on your end?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I had a second doubt when it came to going to college. I felt like college was always going to be there in my mind. I mean, my parents, like, they support me in anything I do. So, I mean, they wanted me to play pro ball. I always wanted to play pro ball. And then when it came to taking that opportunity, I always wanted to run with it. So, like, I knew school was going to be there. And so I said, okay, if I'm good enough, I'm going to be good enough. And right now, if I don't take it and I don't end up getting drafted my junior or senior year out of college, then I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. And I know people who've gone to college and who've got drafted out of high school and have gone to college and then they're gone. They're out of baseball now. So I didn't want to let the opportunity pass up. So I was like, okay, if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't meant to be. So I didn't feel like college was the next stepping stone. I felt like if I get into pro ball and I know I can succeed here, then it's going to happen. You know? Yeah.
It's funny how progress it's never linear, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not like taking a staircase where it's just like very methodical and it's all the way, right? You can watch it
Mhm.
on a graph and it's kind of up and down. And I know developmentally 2022 was a massive year for you. You made some huge progress. Um Now that the season's over, are you able to kind of celebrate your personal achievements a little bit from 2022? I know obviously team first is always the mentality you want to take, but this was a big year for you.
Yeah. I mean, realizing it like during the season, I didn't think like, I was having a great year, because I started off so bad. I mean, I was batting 130 in high A for the first month and a half. I was terrible. Like I was striking out every other at bat. And so when you start out really bad, you work your way back up, I feel like it kind of evens out a little bit. So like I felt like I had an okay year when it came to that because I didn't produce the whole time. I had really, really high ups and then really low down. So I felt like it kind of evened out. But definitely looking back at it, it was definitely my best year I had. And I definitely did really well and very happy with what I did. But I feel like I could have done better. You always can
Yeah.
do better. You can always perform. And yeah, I felt like.
But there's almost something to be said for that mentality too, right? Of constantly striving to be better. I mean, it
Yeah.
would be really easy for you to be like, great, Triple
Yeah,
A,
exactly.
I did it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the goal, right?
No, definitely not cool. You always want to be in the big leagues. You want to help them win. And I feel like I definitely did a good job enough to go to AAA this year, and I performed what I could do up there. But it's like you said, it's not the end goal for me. There's always that one step ahead that you want to achieve, and being in the big leagues and helping them win a World Series is the number one goal.
We did watch your strikeouts go down throughout the year. That is one of the improvements from the
Yeah.
time you started to the time you ended the year. Your hits went up. Did you change your approach at the plate at all this season going in? Or was this just kind of things falling into place for you?
Well, I'm a type of guy who always switches my stance up. I mean, if you look at my at bats throughout the year, there's not one month or like one series where it's not different. Like I switch my hands up sometimes, I switch up my feet, my positioning. It's just something I do because sometimes I feel not comfortable that day where my setup is, so I kind of switch it up here and there. But approach wise, it definitely was being more aggressive earlier in the count because I was definitely a lot more passive earlier in the season. And I feel like that's why my strikeouts went up. So I was taking a lot more pitches, and my walks were up too, but my strikeouts were up also. But like I was way more aggressive earlier in the count. I was more confident when it came to my approach because sometimes I felt, okay, I can't hit this guy. And when you think that, you're not going to be able to hit him. You're done from the get go. So I was definitely more confident. I was definitely just more aggressive on fastballs, spitting on the off speed. That's really about it.
How do you keep your confidence up?
That's tough. I mean,
help me, Davis. How do I become more confident? No.
One game you can go 0 for 4 with 4 Ks, and I feel like one blue pit might get your confidence up just like that. I mean, I'm not saying it's lucky, but it's hit or miss when it comes to baseball. Sometimes you can be the most confident guy in the world, and you can go 4 for 4 with 4 extra base hits, but other days it's tough. I mean, it's tough to get that confidence throughout the whole season. And I can admit I didn't have that confidence for most of those games, but you're just sticking with it, being with your buddies in the clubhouse. I feel like that really helps you, get your mind off baseball sometimes, because if you're thinking about baseball 24/7, it's not a good thing.
The psychology of the game is so weird, eh? How it's
Yeah.
just like it's almost like the scene at the end of Ghostbusters where as soon as they think about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, now it's there, right? It's like, don't think about anything. Keep your mind empty.
Yeah.
So this is a question that obviously is very individualized as to how you would feel about it, but I am curious how you would react. So Aaron Judge, we just watched have a historic season, right? Break the home run record for the American League, probably going to win the MVP. I mean, the guy was just lights out. Struggle a little in the playoffs to the point where Yankees fans booed him.
Mm-hmm.
He said all the right things, right? I've got to take accountability for what I'm doing, and the fans are holding me accountable, blah, blah, blah. The lip service was there. As a player, though, if you are going to free agency and you have your fans after the monster season you just had, if you had the fans boo you in the playoffs, do you take that personally?
Not personally. I mean, because look at what he did in the regular season. I mean, they loved him.
Yes,
they absolutely loved him. And the main goal of any team in MLB is to win the World Series. And that's what the fans want, is to win a World Series. And they could care less for what you do in the regular season. But if you can perform in the postseason, I mean, that's what they really want. Because look at the Phillies right now. I mean, Kyle Schwarber, Reese Hoskins, they didn't really have a great regular season, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if you can perform in the postseason, they're going to love you. So, I mean, it's that saying, if you can get into the playoffs, anything could happen. And look at the Phillies, what they're doing right now. So I don't blame Aaron Judge for what he did in the playoffs. I mean, he had 62 home runs in the regular season. I mean, he's going to get $300 million in the next couple months. But yeah, I don't. He definitely took it probably a little bit personally. I mean, during the game, if you strike out and you hear the boos, you're definitely pissed off. You know,
Right.
I mean, you're pissed off at the fans, but you're definitely pissed off at yourself because you're letting the city down. But you know, it is what it is. But he definitely has tough skin to wear it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just curious if, like, I'm so curious where the guy's going to wind up. You know, there's all the rumors of, you know, he's a Bay Area guy, and, you
Yeah.
know, the Dodgers, they're getting Trey Turner's money off their books, most likely. Like, it's just a really interesting scenario. I was just curious what you thought. Let's look ahead to next season here and what you're looking to accomplish. What successes are you looking to have for 2023?
I mean, go to spring training, be as ready as I can for that. You know, hopefully, you know, get some big league at bats in the big league spring training games. You know, see what I can do there, and then hopefully I can go back to AAA and, you know, perform. And I don't want to like go ahead of
Yeah.
myself. You know, just get called up. I just got to perform well in the field first. I mean, let the other things take care of itself, because if they don't need me up there, they don't need me up there. You know, I just got to do what I do on the field, and hopefully I can cut down on the strikeouts a little bit, because I was 10 strikeout a little bit this season. But, you know, just go into spring training just as ready as I can be, you know, and just do what I do.
Well, you kind of touched on it, and it is interesting how it works. Obviously, you never want to have the mentality of looking up. I know
Yeah.
we've talked to numerous minor league guys who were just like, you know, we even had some guys on the show who, like Taylor Sacedo, where he talked about one of the things that really held him back was doing the math, looking upwards. Oh,
Yeah.
like if this guy's something or that happens or I'm next on the thing, right? And that can kind of mess with your head. So when you have that ability to kind of stay within yourself, it goes a long ways. But I know you even mentioned it, right? We watched it happen with Otto Lopez. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. gets injured.
Yeah, exactly.
He had a great season in AAA, and he gets the opportunity. But then that also played well for you, right? Because you're having a good season, and you get the opportunity that way.
Mhm.
Do you have a trick to stay within yourself, or are you just like...
I mean, sometimes I delete my social media sometimes, like during the season, because it is a distraction here and there. And so I definitely try to stay off social media sometimes, because you hear so many rumors and everything that goes on with
Right.
that. And so I kind of shy away with that stuff. But, you know, it's tough because there's so much out there, and you hear so much that it is tough to kind of stay in the moment. But once you stay in the moment, it's definitely a better feeling, and you definitely play better when you stay in the moment. And it makes baseball more fun when you're not thinking about all the other stuff. You're just out there playing ball with your buddies, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some fans take it the wrong way when people are like, it's important to have fun. And I think there's more to that statement than just, you know, the 6-year-old idea of going out and just have a good time, right? Like,
Yeah.
truly having fun is also, like you said, right? Like staying within yourself and not looking around. And
And let's be honest, I
honestly,
mean,
Davis,
having fun is playing well. I mean, if you
yeah,
play well,
right?
you're going to have
Exactly.
fun. So, I
Winning
mean, it's
is
kind of
fun.
exactly. If you play well and you have fun, or if you play well and you win, you're going to have fun. So it goes hand in hand.
Best minor league stadium you've ever played in. Favorite minor league stadium.
Fan wise or just overall?
You could do both if you want.
Fan wise, got to be Vancouver. I mean, that place is. Oh, I loved going to the field every day. It was the best. And just seeing those fans when you come out in the tunnel and go out on the field, it made like I said, made baseball fun. But
Yeah.
the best stadium was definitely in Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was great. I mean,
What's
they
that,
had
the yard goats or something? Yeah, right.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Yard Goats. It was a great stadium. They had a good crowd too, but that stadium was second to none. It was very well kept. I mean, the infield, outfield was great. Fans were great. stadium and just in general was really awesome.
What's the best, or even we'll take the weirdest promotion that you've seen at a ballpark? You know, like bark at the park or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know if anything comes to mind. There's definitely I've seen a lot, but nothing that stands out that well.
Okay.
Wow, that's weird.
Have you?
But I mean, I love barking the park nights. I'll tell you
Have
that.
you ever? And you don't have to name which stadium, but have you ever played in a minor league stadium that stood out to you as like disappointing? Like field surface felt like you're playing
sure.
like rec league. You're like, what? This is not pro ball. What are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, there's a bunch. I mean, there's not just one. There's definitely a lot.
All right.
Where when it comes to the infield, it's like, what are we doing here? I mean, like, how are we gonna field on this?
Yeah.
But the grounds crew do the best they can. But yeah, there's definitely a bunch of fields where like this is terrible.
Okay, I like that direction, Adam. Okay, so we're gonna go with, and you don't need to mention names. Okay, so I worked in radio for years, and there was a lady who wrote advertisement. Nice enough, but she was just so annoying. And if you could avoid going and spending time with her, you would. So I'm curious. Again, you don't need to name names, but is there any first baseman on opposing teams where you're just like, dear God, I better hit a double because I just don't even want to I don't even want to hear this guy's small talk.
Not really. Actually, all the guys I played against this year were pretty cool. I mean, they talked to me, but not enough to where like, all right, dude, shut up.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, like, and there's some guys who didn't talk at all. I tried to talk to them. They're like, dude, just shut up, man. Like, because you're very into the game. I'm like, okay, all right. I don't want to talk to you anyway. I was just trying to
I can imagine there's also at times very funny interactions where you're like kind of cracking each other up a bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and there's a bunch of guys I know on other teams that I talk to that are playing shortstop and second baseman. They're pretty funny. And if you play them long enough, you kind of like get the vibe and you feel them out a little bit and you can talk to them a little bit more before and after the game and everything. So, but there's definitely not any a-holes out there that are, that are trying to talk to me or anything.
If you had your choice while hitting, is there a spot in the batting order that you prefer to be slotted into?
No, it doesn't really matter to me, to be honest. I mean, as long as I'm in the lineup, I could care less, But I mean, I did like leading off this year a lot. I mean, just because I got a lot of first pitch fastballs, first pitch of the game. So, and like I said, when I kind of got that confidence and I was going to swing a little bit more, and I knew a first pitch fastball was going to come, I got a lot of not cheap hits, but first pitch singles of the game that were pretty nice to have. So I did like leading off a lot, and I never let off before, but it was a good feeling just leading off a bunch of games.
Love it, man. Honestly, Davis, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. We really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah,
here.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We'll bug you later on, maybe after next season, see if we can have you back here and see where you're at. But I'll throw to Adam here, and he's got some questions, maybe less baseball orientated. And we'll wrap up that way.
All right, so we'll start with this. You mentioned earlier that if you think baseball 24/7, that's no good. So what specifically do you have for activities outside of baseball to take your mind off things, whether it's mid-season or now in the off season? What do you do to stay busy? What are your hobbies, as we say, I guess is the simple way of putting it?
Oh, I play a lot of golf. I mean, that's really all I do. On every off day, if we're home or even if we're away, we try to get out there. Like me and Phil Clark, a bunch of other guys, we try to play golf, keep our minds off baseball. And it's just fun being out there and not having to worry about our batting average or, hitting with runners in scoring position or even just talking baseball. It's just fun out there, just being regular people,
It's big in the Blue Jays org, eh? You guys love golfing.
Oh, yeah. There's a bunch of guys. I mean, up and down AAA through the golf, or I guess the development league now, everyone golfs. And if you can get out there and that's how you make new buddies too. If you don't know a guy in spring training and you invite them out to, a round of golf, that's how you make new buddies during spring training sometimes. It is what it is, but it's a lot of fun. I love golf. And if I wasn't a baseball player, I would try to play golf. You know,
Who's the best golfer in the org?
Nick Algar's pretty good. I never played
Algier?
with him. Yeah,
Nice.
Algar's really good. Phil Clark is really good. I
Yeah.
play with Phil a lot, but I hear Nick is the best. So
Yeah, it's funny. We had Nick on the show, and he was so humble about his golfing. And we only knew he golfed because he had to bump us because he had a tee time that he couldn't
oh really?
move. So he came on the next day. But it's so funny because every single person we talk to, and whenever we ask about golf, Algire's the guy that they're like, oh yeah, like you
Yeah.
can't
Well,
beat Nick.
like I said, I never played with him, so
Yeah.
I don't really know. But I hear he's a scratch
See, and this is
golfer.
what I'm talking about, right? He's got a rep.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a good rep to have. I mean, that's not bad. It's not bad to brag.
No, absolutely. All right. You mentioned being a Phillies fan. Are you a Philadelphia sports fan in general, or just what caught your eye about the Phillies as a kid growing up?
Well, I'm like 20 minutes away from Philly. I mean, so I'm really, really close to Philly. And, you know, I mean, everyone around me is a Phillies fan. No one's really a Yankees fan around me. That's more North Jersey. It's a little bit ways from me. But yeah, just being close to Philly and going to Phillies games when I was a kid. You know, I'm an Eagles fan too. I'm not a big of a hockey guy.
Eagles are having a good year.
What's that? Yeah,
Eagles are having a good year.
It's a good time to be a Philly sports fan right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Awesome. Best place to eat. You're from New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Your hometown. What is the go-to dish?
That's tough. We don't have that many standout places near me. I mean, you got Wawa. That's the only thing that I eat a lot, but there's not like a big restaurant or anything. But north of me, there's a pizza place where we played in AA in Somerset. That was really good, called Delucius. That was probably the best pizza I ever had.
All right. So we're on the topic of pizza. Pineapple. Does that belong on your pizza or no?
Definitely not. I mean, I'm just a regular cheese guy, straight as could be. I'm not a big pepperoni guy either. Just give me cheese and I'll be happy.
I love it.
I mean, I don't fault people for having pineapple on their pizza. You know.
Very good. You're not kicking them out.
Very
of the
open-minded of you.
You're
like, live your life, everybody.
I mean, hey, some people might like it. I mean, some people have that different type of palate, but I'm not going to fault them for it. You know.
Yeah.
Very good. When we were talking to TJ Brock last week, he mentioned being a big chicken wing guy. Do you have thoughts on chicken wings? Obviously, ended your year in Buffalo. Buffalo, a little bit known for their wings.
To be honest, I didn't have any wings up there when I was there
No?
for those 3 weeks, but my buddies had some wings. We were watching the Bills game that night, or one of those nights, and they ordered some wings, and they said it was next level of wings they had. But
Nice.
Unfortunately, I didn't have those wings up there. But I am a Buffalo wing guy. I just didn't have any up there when I was in Buffalo. Next year, hopefully. Yeah.
All right, we'll end with this one then. Pre-game routine. What does it look like for you, Davis?
So probably about an hour before the game. I mean, I'll put in my earbuds, listen to music, and then I'll go to the cages, get a couple swings before the game. Then I'll just sit in my locker, you know, just go on social media here and there, and then take my pre-workout probably about 20 minutes before the game, head out to the field, stretch, throw, and then be ready. I'm not too crazy when it comes to like, you know, I gotta like go roll out or anything like that, go on the treadmill or do something like that. I'm just kind of chill, you know, be relaxed as I can be, and then just be ready for the game mentally wise. No kind of distractions or anything. Just try to be as ready, and then go out. I'm not a big, like I said, stretch guy, so I don't really stretch that much. So I kind of go out later, throw, and then.
Do you ever find that you enjoy a particular time of day to play ball? Like, do you like a day game versus dusk versus night game under the lights?
I love day games. If I could play a day game every day, I would. Just because it's a better vibe when it comes to it. You might not get as much fans when it comes to it, but it's just a better vibe for me, and I can see the ball way better because I hate playing under the lights. Sometimes it's glary here and there. You know, I wear glasses too sometimes, and sometimes they fog up at night, which kind of sucks.
Oh, I know the struggle, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, and once they fog up and you're playing the outfield, it's tough to see the ball sometimes. So if I could play a day game, I would every single time.
Right on. Well, thanks for your time so much, Davis. It's been really
Yeah.
good getting to know you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we really enjoyed this, buddy. Hopefully, we can have you back on the show here. We're definitely rooting for you. All the best next season, and take care of yourself, my man. Enjoy your
Thank
off
you.
season.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
We really appreciate all of you within the walk-off community. This thing continues to grow and become an animal of its own. It's a little bit overwhelming, but honestly, we love talking Blue Jays baseball and all the interaction that you folks are involved with us. Thank you so much. Discord, feel free to join it. That is always free. The show or the link is in the show notes. You can follow us on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, on Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. And if you are watching on YouTube currently and you're not subscribed, we'd really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. All the best, everybody. Cheers.